Yeah, it's a little bit more bitter than sweet, honestly. We wanted this one, we wanted to win, and with the map vetoes going as expected, we thought it'd be a 2-0 in our favor with the prep that we had. Um, so yeah, like even though we got the bare minimum, like actually the bare minimum to get it through, felt like right now, like I don't feel like we deserve it, honestly, with how we're playing. So I'm more disappointed than celebrating. Um, but this upcoming playoffs with I'm guessing it's the C9 is our first round matchup. It's gonna be valuable experience going through playoffs with this team because we definitely need the experience.
Yeah, sure thing. I'll do the intro after this, but we'll just get it going. Since I have a little bit of time, talking to other people for my window. But still, yeah, you mentioned a little bit about this series against Loud, difficult as it was for you. What do you think was the biggest cause just for the team to just not do well, not kind of realize the kind of vision that you had beforehand for the series?
It really comes down to just like the nerves and being calm in situations where like when we are in advantage, we've closed out rounds like these type of rounds before in scrims and just converting that to the match. And they're saying all the right things, but like we can all tell that it's a little bit hectic. It's a little bit frenzied, and it just feels like we're not able to get that situational awareness quickly and close out rounds. And and for that, I'm thinking about bind. So it really comes down to just experience, and we've been working on our mindset and our mental prep for this as well as like the game plan prep. And I think the game plan was good. Everything that we drilled and like went over, it went well. But sometimes like you just gotta win those like B post plants or what have you. And it kind of came down to that. Like we couldn't win the rounds that we were in advantage in, um, or that we were pretty sure like we can close these type of rounds, and and that's how loud got us. And like yeah, yeah. So that's how like mine went. Icebox still not sure. Well, they did exploit some of our utility gaps, and we were able to adjust slightly to it. Um, But I can tell just based on the players, like, I had to deliberately tell them to slow the game down because they were just, again, a little bit too frenzied. They're skipping steps or, like, they're not, like, holding the angles that they probably should've. And, Loud did their homework, and they were looking to exploit some of that. But, honestly, some of it was just given to them because of our own mishaps, right? So it's hard to, like, always figure out, like, exactly, but props to Loud, honestly, to capitalize on those opportunities, exploit the gaps that we had before, and secure the 2-0. They're definitely the better team here.
Do you feel like the playoff ramifications surrounding this match, which affected like five teams in total? Do you think that kind of played a factor? With that thought hovering around your players' set, or maybe even yourself included, did that kind of play a role into the team's subsequent performance?
I hope not. Like we knew the situation. Like oh wow, like four teams is like, like all watching very closely, and like we know some of the American players like EG, like the players on EG. They even requested jerseys. Like yo, like we'll support you guys. Like all right. But it's not like added pressure, at least on my end. And we were just really focused on us really in this matchup, like how we wanted to play this team. We know what they would do. We were even reading live like how they're adapting or adjusting or the lack of adjustments maybe. um but yeah, it just came down to us not executing today, and yeah, that obviously sucked. um but yeah, I mean, yeah, the extra pressure like wasn't really pressure really.
Yeah, and now kind of piggybacking off of that, just looking at this entire year overall, stage overall, I've been able to talk to you a few times by this point, including right now, but just sort of giving me a quick overview of just how this stage has transpired. If you could give it like your team's performance a grade, what would that grade kind of be from your point of view, and why? In a general sense.
Um, in a letter grade format, it'd probably be like a B minus, like C plus. I think there's some good parts of like what we do consistently, and there's some bad parts where it's like, well, we worked on it through practice. We know that like the players know, and almost it's basically that it comes down to experience and just executing it on that day. Um, and so like I just have to keep trying to figure out like more different ways to help like bring it out so that they don't they don't feel as pressured, I guess for the lack of a better term, in trying to do the right play. And I just tell them like just do what you think is right because often like if you just execute it together, it's gonna be all right. Um, we'll review it later. It's fine. So yeah, as far as like our potential, like I feel like we're at like a B minus. You know, we're beating the teams that we should, and we're not quite there in beating the teams that like we can. Okay, and it's almost like we need to cross that barrier that we can prove to ourselves like we can beat these teams. And honestly, we can. We show rounds. We shown maps. You know, we took a map off Lev. Like we could have closed out on Lotus, but we made some like weird decisions here and there. And it's like, well, okay, lessons learned, bring it to the next game. And then we like beat 2-0 MIBR. All right, good. And then we play loud. New lessons learned, right? Or will be learned because we haven't done VOD review yet. Um, and maybe there's a pattern like we'll probably do really well against C9 and then crew, and like we're very familiar with crew. Um, so yeah, like I think our potential is there. It's just it's just a process. We just gotta trust the process and not give up on each other.
It's just like a feeling of like this team can do a lot more than they have shown. You know that this team has the potential to just take that extra step, but for some reason, it feels like you're not able to do that, right?
Yeah, yeah. Like it's hard to really show exactly by like or tell you exactly how it like transpires or how it manifests in the server. But say it's like I'm thinking to myself like we pop out a long B smoke um on attack round and we're trying to go forward with the raise ult, but for some reason like we're not going as aggressively as we would in the scrims because that could be drawn up, or we know how to play our B post plants and we're fighting spawn from elbow, but for some reason like we didn't know how to disengage or commit to the fights. Like uh it felt so indecisive in these moments, even though like we talked about it and like everyone knew exactly how to play it. Like I can just tell just based on the players fighting, like um the moment like feels big for them, and like, we'll just have to keep working through that, and, like, I just want the players to know, like, that like, we have the same tools as everybody else. In fact, like, our process is really good. Just trust each other. Just let that moment go, and, like, we're good. But, yeah, it's frustrating to see it, like, man, like, it's almost there.
Now going over to playoffs, I can tell you right now, for your opponent for first round of knockouts, this Cloud9. Just give me a quick overview of your thoughts on Cloud9, the form that they've been in, and just what you think is going to be the difference maker for you guys to not only go over the hump that you've been talking about so far in this conversation, but also taking down Cloud9 at the same time.
Yeah, Cloud9 is a interesting team. I think they're, like, the litmus test of the league. Um, where if you're beating them, you're probably in the top half. If you're losing to them, you're probably on the bottom half, and that's because the way I mean, like at their current form. So, um, the way they play is they kind of rely on their heroics. They rely on Oxy to drop their 30. I mean, I find it funny that they are proud of the fact that they are happy that Oxy's dropping 30. You know, um, so it's all about limiting Oxy, making sure like we know how to play team Valorant the way we want to play, of course, and just not letting them play their game. But that's like with any opponent, honestly. So like I'm excited for the matchup. I think it'll be very entertaining.
Oh, for sure, no doubt about that. And I wish I could talk to you more, Josh. about this series and this stage, but I got to wrap it up right now. So really appreciate you taking the time once again doing another interview. I think you're probably in the lead for most interviews I've done with a single person. So for that, I thank you and best of luck for playoffs.
Thanks, Pedro. I enjoy these interviews, and like call me back once again. Okay.
Of course, no doubt. I'll try to do
Yeah.
that next series, man.
All right. Thank
All
you.
right, man. Take care, man.